Alrighty. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you find yourself today. Prof,
Yes, sir.
I hope everything is okay today.
Oh yeah, we're good.
Hope the family is good too.
Yeah, yeah.
Alrighty. I sent you a video. I don't know if you, no. It was not a video. It was a link. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, I took a minute and I read it. I
Oh,
read
okay.
it.
The video was all over on social media, but for some reason I wasn't able to save it. And when I
Yeah.
was looking for it, I couldn't find it. So I got the link instead and I sent that to you.
Okay.
Anyway, alrighty. We want to welcome all of you to today's Analyze This. As usual, we're going to be talking about issues concerning Ghana, Africa, um, people of African descent, um, and the world at large. So anything concerning us will be discussed. But as we always say, it might not be we might not necessarily be talking about the whole of the African continent or the whole of the Black people or the whole of the world. But whatever we're going to be discussing might be relating to issues going on in some other African countries and some other areas. So that is how we look at our discussion. So um, just be a part of it, enjoy. You're welcome to ask questions or submit your opinions. We encourage dissenting opinions on this platform because we believe that the more we discuss different opinions, the more we learn from each other. We equip ourselves to be able to improve our communities and the world at large. But on this platform, we don't entertain insults. So we ask that whatever submissions you make has to be done respectfully. We also want to remind ourselves that creativity and inventions are not by the color of one's skin, but by an educated mind. Creativity and inventions are not by the color of one's skin, but by an educated mind. We want this to sink in. So, on that note, we would want to start today's discussion by we'll touch on the nurses. We'll touch on the things we spoke about last week. We'll also touch on Galamsey, and we'll also talk about law and order um, in our societies. As I was just talking to Prof about a link I sent to him. All right, so without much ado, Prof, your introduction and opening
Yeah.
statement.
My name is Kojo Frimpong, as usual, of AfriWeek and Settle International Organization. And what I like to say is that there is no perfect society. The only difference between progressive societies and retrogressive societies is the fact that progressive societies continually reinvent themselves in the face of problems, and they continually try to solve the problems that they encounter as they move towards development. Retrogressive society says, oh, as for here, this is how it is done. It doesn't matter whether it is working or it is not working. Yeah, I agree. There is no need to reinvent the wheel as long as the wheel is working perfectly. But if you find out that your wheel is not working, I think it is time to go back to the table and do some reinvention. So, like I always say, there is no perfect society. Let's continue to work towards making our societies serve our people better. Thank you.
Alrighty, let's continue to make our societies serve our people better. Very important and a powerful, profound statement. What kind of society are we building today? And the society we build today is going to be the society we live in tomorrow, or posterity will live in tomorrow. So on the issue of the nurses, as we spoke about the other time, we're glad, like we said the other time, they've gone back to work. We know discussions are ongoing. And again, I just want to reiterate the fact that it should not just be meeting their demands now, but it should be the basis upon which we're going to build and rethink, restructure, and so to speak, reshape our health sector, because it's very important. The health of every nation is one of the lifelines of that particular nation. So if you're not healthy, you can't even think straight to develop a nation. We talk about health, and we are talking about the human development. You cannot disassociate health from the human development. And so it is a very vital component of our existence. And we want to encourage all parties involved. Nobody should sit on the fence. I like the statement by Dr. King. He said, the evil going on in the world is not because of evil people, but it's because of those who sit on the fence and watch it happen. So let us not sit on the fence and watch evil prevail. Let us not sit on the fence and fold our arms until it gets to our doorsteps. We should be able to act now and make sure that our health sector is restructured, is improved to meet the needs and the demands of a progressive society. So we would all enjoy, and posterity would thank us for that. On that note, one of the things I also want to talk about is the Galamsey issue. And I've been following discussions and following what's going on. And I don't know. I don't know, but as of now, the LI 2462 is still in place and it's not being repealed. And I am wondering if these politicians are just going to play these chess for how long. It's about time we demanded accountability from our politicians. We're not interested in politics on this platform, but it's one thing when you promise a people, and those of you who are joining us on Leadership Academy, you would tend to understand the tricks and the antics of the politicians. So promising the people one thing, and then when you get power, you do the other. I am speaking specifically to the LI 2462, because in opposition, I remember clearly that the President Muhammad promised that that is going to be revoked. In other words, he's going to make sure that LI has been repealed. Repealing means canceled. It's not going to, that law where it gives powers to the president to decide who goes into the forest, reserved forest to mine or to undertake any activity, is going to be revoked. In other words, they're going to take that power from whoever, either the president or the legislature, whoever. So nobody, I mean, nobody can interrupt our natural resources. Well, I would choose uselessly. That's more. Um, so I'm still thinking, what is holding this LI from being repealed? Because people are pillaging the forests. As a matter of fact, just a few hours before we started this program, I went online and I was trying to check on some of the reports by the Asari Donkor. And I saw an area view of some of the rivers, and it's appalling. It's ongoing. They're ripping the forest with impunity. And the other question I'm also asking is Wontumi the only miner in Ghana who is involved in Galamsey? I'm not saying he is because I don't have the facts, but I'm asking a question. So far, he's the only person who's been arrested or who was arrested. Is he the only miner in Ghana who is involved in Galamsey? So I thought it was an exercise the department was trying to embark on to get hold of all these people, the big guys behind this Galamsey, and prosecute them if the need be. But all we heard was one person was arrested, and then it's gone quiet. So my question is Wontumi the only Galamsey miner in Ghana? So we really have to be serious and stop playing politics with the lives of the people. This, I think that the international community should even boycott the buying of gold from Ghana. I mean, it's that serious because we're talking about the future of the country, not just even the country. Is the future of the continent at stake. So it's really mind-boggling to think about how long it's going to take for this LI to be repealed. That's one of my um my takes on today's discussion, and it's been something I've been thinking about, and it bothers me a lot because if you look at the extent to which they are destroying our lives, this is a crime against humanity. What is going on is a crime against humanity. I don't need to explain myself, but if you don't have water resources as a country, if you don't have any good lands for agricultural productivity, then I don't know what else you have to sustain. And apart from the fact that it's even sustaining life, it's also um destroying the ecosystem. It's also destroying the ecosystem. Apart from it killing life and property, killing human beings, it's also destroying the ecosystem. I want to adapt the slogan that when the last tree dies, the last man will die.
The last man died.
So I don't know what is going to impress on the government with the power to be able to aggressively tackle this issue. I know Hannah Bishu and her team are doing something, but I don't think it's enough. I think the goodwill should start from repealing the LI 2462, and then we would see the seriousness on the part of those in power to deal with this issue. I think that's my take for now, Prof.
I remember the first time we brought up this issue, especially after the change of government. I posited that it is just a change of the guard. It's not really a change for anything better in the mining sector or the mining industry. I actually hope to be wrong. But like you said, there are a lot of illegal mining activities that have been going on in Ghana for the past 10, 15 years. And nobody can convince me that it is only mining that is a culprit in our forest reserves, you know. So for me, like I said earlier on, it is just a change of the guard. Because before the Nana-Addo-led administration came to power, it was basically NDC people who were the top illegal miners in the country. Then we find out later on that NPP top dogs became the galamseyers in the country. Now you are making an example of just one person, and we don't hear anything else about anybody else. I am not the one who believes in, talking a lot, but if you have the results, let's see them. Apart from making this brouhaha about Wontumi, I've not seen any real fight against Galamsey in this administration. Mind you, like I always say, I did BSc in renewable natural resources, and I have people who are district managers of the forestry department, people within the industry. Just a week ago, one of my classmates called and said that a particular chief in one of his areas have cut the forest up, claiming to be building a hospital, selling the rest of the land to people to build, and that they have had to make a police case against the chief. And this same classmate told me that Galamsey has not subsided in any serious amount. I remember there was a news item that the new district chief executive of Kumasi was able to impound some earth moving machines, bring it to the KMA. Within a week, somebody had called orders from above for those earth moving machines to be released to the offending people.
You mean God spoke to somebody?
Maybe that's what they mean when they say orders from above. So Nana, it's just a change of the guy. I also watched a video of this guy who claimed that an MP in the Bono was devastating the land very close to the Tsunami Highway. He had a video. I will try to find the video and show you. And that guy is the MP, NDC MP of the area. I'm not 100% sure if that is true or not. But the guy was talking about saying that, hey, it is your people doing the Galamsey now. What are you going to do about it? You see, my problem is that a change of government in terms of a change in party do not mean that the technical people within the government have been changed. The technocrats are supposed to be the bedrock of every government, and there is supposed to be a seamless transfer of power to a different party. That it doesn't mean the technocrats have been moved out. They are still within the ministries. They are still within the departments. And it is the same with our judiciary. The fact that you changed the top dogs does not mean the judges and other people have been changed within the judiciary. But look at what has been happening. I know I'm digressing. Somebody comes up as the new sheriff in town and discontinue prosecution against perceived criminals and starts a whole new prosecution which makes people think that this is politically motivated. Okay. The new sheriff in town just came in, decides that this case, I'm discontinuing it. And then starts a new prosecution of the previous government appointees. I have no problem with somebody being considered a suspect and you prosecuting him or her to the fullest extent of the law. But what is the guarantee that once you leave power, which you will at some point in time, if, let's say, an NPP man is put in charge of the prosecution, he becomes the attorney in charge of prosecution. What prevents him from discontinuing all these prosecutions that the Mahama-led administration is starting? It is the same game that I see with the Galamsey issue that we are talking about. Because if you can prosecute Wontumi, which is wonderful, I don't think he's the only person who should be prosecuted. Anybody else who has been within the system that has been put before the courts, the prosecution should continue. And it should not just be Wontumi. He is not the only person going into our forests, reserves, or doing Galamsey in Ghana. People have been dredging the Tano River. People have been dredging the Ofin River. We see the results with our own eyes when we drive past these rivers. If they really have a case, it is the Ghanaian people who should rise up. Like you said, in their manifesto, in the time that they were doing their campaigning, the president said that he was going to repeal this LI. It is early days here. I want to be wrong because I don't see him doing anything serious about it. But I want to be proven wrong. Let's say he's not been in there.
I don't think
for
6
a
months
year yet.
it's early days. Looking at the seriousness of what's going on, I don't think 6 months is early days. This should have been tackled head on right from day one. You know, because we're talking about the future, technically the future of the country.
Nana,
Anyway,
as long
sorry
as
for interrupting you.
No, you are very right. As long as our educational system do not make it pertinent and important to learn the fundamentals of why we are Africans and what our duty is to our land. I remember you talking about the Aborigines' rights activities and what they wrote to the colonial government that we are just custodians of the land for the future. How many Ghanaians, how many Nigerians, how many Africans actually know this and understand this? So this ally that you and I are talking about, what is the percentage of Ghanaians who even know what the ally stands for? So it behoves on the civil education department to continually educate our people about our rights and our responsibilities. And I know this will seg into the police issue, but when some people decided to go on demonstration against Galamsey, see what happened to them. So as long as we have forces that marshal up against the activities of the citizenry, which is right, trying to protect the land, a lot of people are going to just fall back. Me, right now, when I take a look at social media and the media landscape in Ghana, I don't even see a lot of people talking about Galamsey anymore. It is as if it has been relegated to the background. It is no longer a hot button issue. That is my problem. And being educated in natural resources management, I know for a fact that what we are doing to ourselves is so bad because we don't even know the capacity of the ecosystem to regenerate itself if we give it the necessary support. But every day that we continue to cut these forests and we continue to turn over the soil, we are destroying the biodiversity that makes the ecosystem thrive.
And even poisoning it with chemicals as well.
Exactly. And these chemicals, they are going to build up in the food chain. They are going to build up in our water bodies, and it is going to get back to us. Already, there are anecdotal stories about people in these mining communities like Obuasi, Adanse, and those other areas who are giving birth to genetically defective children already.
And there was a video I also saw of a fisherman who fishes in the River Pra, and he was showing the type of fish they've been catching lately. They look weird.
Exactly. Because there's a lot of cyanide, a lot of heavy metals that are polluting the rivers, and it's building up in these water fishes and animals and other organisms within the water bodies food chain, and it will eventually come to us. Remember, the Ghana Water Sewage Company do not process heavy metals. They have no fundamental processing activities that eradicate heavy metals already infused into our rivers. What they do is basically make the water clean in terms of sediments. They do not treat heavy metals in the river. So anybody drinking water in Ghana, using water to cook from the Water and Sewerage Company of Ghana, be advised. Because whatever is already pumped into the river is what you are drinking or using to cook or using to wash your clothes and your body. And we are all going to pay a price in the future if we don't do anything about it. I'm done.
One of the things I'm thinking of is there any national body one can appeal to? Do you know of any?
I don't, but I can ask
Yeah,
within
I
the
think
Forestry
that's gonna be
Commission.
my assignment for this week, to find out if there's any international body we can appeal to. And because this, like you said, it's eventually gonna catch up to us. It's
It
it's a
has already
human
caught up to
endemic.
us.
It's not just
Yeah,
Ghana. I mean, it's gonna spread to
yeah,
Africa.
yeah.
Because if they degrade the forest, it's the ecosystem. It's part of the ecosystem, you know? And I don't see why. I believe there should be an international body that can be appealed to look into this, or to raise the red flags for the international community to start looking at some of these things. I know some of them don't really care, but at the end of the day, it's gonna
Thank you.
catch up to us. I know some of
Thank
them
you.
don't really care.
Now, when you mentioned it, I was smiling and smirking simply because if they are getting their gold at the price that they want,
At what expense? That's the
they
question.
don't care.
Because they're just kicking the can down the road. You
Yeah,
think it's in Ghana or it's in Africa?
I've said
You
this
have your
over
embassies over there.
I've said this over and over again. You want to understand how our societies work, go back to our idioms.
When
Or the,
Ebola
yeah,
erupted in that little town, little village, see what it did to the world.
but Nana,
Huh?
or this year and to wait. If the royal doesn't fight, the slave will run. The land belongs to us. Why are we waiting for anybody to do the job that we are supposed to be doing? I know for a fact that nobody is coming to save us. I will say this over and over again. We are building the society we want to live in tomorrow, today. That's what we are doing.
Yeah, but
We should
appealing to international bodies does not mean they're coming to save you. But at least they raise the red flags for the awareness and the noise to get to the seat of power for them to understand the severity and for them to know that something's got to be done about this mess.
That is the
Of course, they're not going to
ideal.
save you. So
Yeah, that is the ideal situation. Like if the international community say, unless the mining of gold in Ghana, in Africa as a whole is sustainable, we are not going to buy it, so that it becomes, a useless commodity.
some
If you don't,
cocoa companies have that policy, right?
yes,
They only buy
yes,
from the farmers who are sustaining the ecosystem by way of doing intelligent farming. Let me put it that way.
yeah, that is true. But sometimes even the benchmarks by which these rules are applied, the benchmarks are actually indicated by the Ghanaian or the Ivory Coast society. So if the people on the ground decide to frustrate whatever the international community is saying, it is not going to work. That's why I want to reiterate, nobody's coming to save us. It is our duty to start the work, even like you said, petitioning these bodies. That is our duty. Putting pressure on the government, that is our duty. That is our duty. We need to understand that we need to step in the gap for our future generations. Like you said, the Aborigines Rights Society, what they taught us is not being taught in our schools. This man who single-handedly used his money to go to the UK to appeal to the Queen of England to stop the sale of land in Ghana or the acquisition of
It
land
was
in Ghana
actually
by.
in some African countries as well, Gambia,
Yes,
Nigeria.
exactly. These people understood their duty to their land. I was just listening to one of the guys from Zimbabwe who said that if you do not have land, you should not procreate. It is a commandment of God.
And it's even I hate to use the word common sense, but it's common sense. It's just like you don't have a
Exactly.
house and you want to procreate. Where do you live with your kids?
Exactly. And we are out here destroying the land that gives us sustenance, destroying the land that actually gives us sustenance. We are a country that is importing rice, we are importing tomatoes, we are importing jene, we are importing kontomire, we are importing zomi. But then the land that can sustain us and give us access to all these food items that we claim to love, we are destroying it at an alarming rate, and it seems it is cool. Whenever I always say this, politicians in opposition have a lot of sense. I wish they would stay in opposition forever, because whenever they talk a lot intelligently, seemingly intelligently, that's the term I should use, and you give them the right to rule, they come in and like 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, 2 years, 4 years, the very thing upon which you voted for them, they make sure they do not do it. And I'm always amazed. I am always amazed. This ally was a focal point of the president today, but when he was campaigning, you don't hear him talking about it anymore. So maybe the fourth estate, when this our president goes to all these programs and he's talking, somebody needs to be asking these questions that you and I are asking. Why is it that you promise to cancel, abrogate this ally? You've been in power for some months now. We don't hear you talking about it. And let's see what happens with that. Maybe that's the more reason why we should have men and women of integrity within the fourth estate?
You see, the fourth estate, the least talked about it, the better. Because
They have been politicized.
it's another disappointment to the whole. But
I will leave it to you because those are your people.
I mean, it's so pathetic. I mean, when the gatekeeper is very political, and they don't mind showing their political colors. You know, when I mean, everybody has his or her own biases, but the truth has no color. You know, the truth has no color and it has to be said because that is what gives you an integrity as a journalist, as a member of the fourth estate. So I think there has to be a different strategy to bring some of these things to the, probably would have to get in touch with the Ghana embassies and see if maybe there is a major conference or something, and we'll go there and make some noise or try to get the attention of the international community. You know, I know the international community, some of them don't care, but there are civil societies within the international communities who would want to help raise the red flag and make all the noise and bring the heat to bear on the government to start doing something about it, because this is just ridiculous. You're
It
destroying your
is.
own land, and it does not even move you to any sense of urgency. And that's what, you know, I shouldn't even be
Surprised.
surprised, because I told you about the article I read about the brain, right? The functions of the brain. So sometimes you think you're normal, you think you're doing everything perfect, but certain functions of your brain is not working. And sometimes we don't know. And I was so amazed when I realized the difference between the knowing and the understanding, and how the understanding will kickstart your creativity. So if you think you know, but you're not doing anything, you only know, you don't understand. Because when you understand, you just cannot sit and look on. It'll kickstart that creativity for you to start doing something about it. You know, so I think we need to still discuss, talk, and groom people who would have all the faculties of their brain working, so we can vote those people into power to manage the affairs of the nations, because sometimes it's just ridiculous. You just can't you just can't make the head and tail of it. It's like somebody who is hungry and there is food around and the person is sitting and crying. It doesn't make sense. You know, it doesn't make sense. So I think this week I'll want to dedicate some time to see if I can research and find some international organizations who are going to be interested in helping trumpet some of these things, and probably get in touch with some of these institutions and people who are, even individuals who are interested to lend forces to this idea, where we can bring a petition or bring the some of these pressure groups, international pressure groups, attention to some of these things going on, so
Yeah.
something can be done about it, because it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
The airline should be repealed.
That should have been the
It,
first thing.
yeah,
I don't see
it has
why that
it
should
has
take
no point. It has no
months.
point. It has no point in our national discourse. LI
And nobody's even talking about it.
2462. Yeah.
Nobody's even talking about it.
Until you brought it up, I didn't know about it. I have to be honest with you.
I'm even talking about the people in government who promised they're going to repeal them. It's been 6 months and nobody's even talking about it. You know,
Because
if you tell me you need time, then you should be talking about it for me to know it's still on your books.
or letting the people understand the processes you are going through
Right.
to repeal it. And let me say this disclaimer. The NDC government today has the biggest majority that any political party has ever had in our national discourse. You control the presidency. You control parliament. In Ghana, there are only two branches of the executive: the presidency and parliament. In parliament, you have a super majority. There is nothing that this government cannot do. So we don't want a situation whereby 4 years later, maybe you lose some members of parliament and your majority becomes a little bit diminished and you have to really work it out and do a
Negotiate with the other
compromise.
parties.
Exactly, in order to pass a bill. Right now, whether the opposition walks out or they sit in, you have a super majority to pass any bill that you want. So don't misuse that super majority. Ghanaians are watching.
Thank
Somebody
you so much
like
for that
me,
submission.
I am watching. You gave promises on this particular issue. LI 21 for 26
2462.
2462. Promises were given by His Excellency, the President, John Dramani Mahama, that you will repeal this LI. We are calling upon you to do so. Because you do have the power to do that. Your political party controls every arm of government in Ghana today. You are blessed with a supermajority. You can do whatever you want. Please go ahead and actually fulfill the promise. Thank you, Nana.
And just
Back
like
to
you
you.
said, this is a very beautiful opportunity for them to do what they have promised to do without any hindrances or any stumbling blocks, because they have the supermajority to be able to pass all the laws they want to pass. And I just remembered, there's this journalist, for the records, I've forgotten his name. He does for the records. He recently decided to do a demonstration. He promised doing the demonstration for 3 days, or because I was following his broadcast, and then he stopped, I believe, after the first day or the second day. I don't know what's become of that, but if this can get to him, I want to plead Okatachi. Yes, I remember the name now. Okatachi.
Okatachi has
If this
been
will get to
removed.
him, he should
He
be.
has been removed from his TV and radio
Yes,
position.
but he has
he
his
had to
own
resign.
he has his own station called For the Records.
Okay.
And
Okay.
as a matter of fact, that's where he organized his demonstration from. He was not with the traditional media house.
Okay.
You know, so please, let's get back to some of these demonstrations. It's very much needed. The seat of power needs to be disturbed. I know we have other issues to talk about, but this is so
This is
important.
this is
Please,
a serious issue. This is a very serious issue. We
please.
are going. It's been estimated that by 2030, Ghana is going to run out of potable water if we continue to degrade the land at the rate
I
at
even
which
think
we are degrading.
2030 is a gracious time. I think
Oh, yeah.
2030 is a gracious time. Because looking
Yeah,
at what
if
I saw this week, I mean, the area footages of most of the major rivers in Ghana,
it is
and
it is really disturbing. Very, very sad.
please, Okatachi, let's go back to the demonstration. Let's go back to the demonstration
Yeah,
because it
he's
looks
becoming
like
a one man army against Galamsey as I see.
yeah, it seemed like he's a one man, but he has multitude behind him. He's
That
not a
that
one man. He has multitude behind
that
him.
is wonderful.
So please, let's go back to some of these demonstrations and let's make some noise. Let's disturb the seat of power and make them, let's take the heat to the seat of power. That's all I can say about this. But like I said, this week I'll start doing some homework to see if there are any international bodies we can petition to help us make the noise and bring the heat to the seat of power to be able to start doing something about this Galamsey menace. We'll do that. All right. There was this video I saw which I thought was I should have saved the video, but for some reason I was usually when I watch some of these videos, it's in between my busy schedule. So sometimes in
Yeah.
the middle of the video, I had to stop and go do something. And I realize this, I'll look for it. We need to play the video. And it's an opportunity for us to learn. I like the fact that people are becoming aware of their rights as citizens. But then you would have to be intelligent. Knowing your right as a citizen does not mean you need to aggravate the police officer who's doing his job. Yes, the police officers in that video also need some retraining because, let me say this, they need some retraining on de-escalation tactics because even though the guy was annoying, the police officer was getting provoked to a point that he would raise his voice at a certain point, and then I'm pretty sure he gets back to himself and he was like, okay, you are a peace officer. And I think they did a good job, but they didn't even have gloves. They wanted to um search the guy. They didn't have gloves. So the guy had his camera on and asking them if they had gloves. They said no. And he said, then you can't search without gloves. And I believe that the police officers know the importance of using the gloves.
Hmm.
It's not just a safety issue. Secondly, it's also an issue of fingerprinting, on the stuff that you're touching. So it helps you to preserve the evidence. If should you find something in there, fingerprinting and all that stuff. So I believe that the police officers needs to be either retrained. I don't know the systems they're running over there, but you cannot be within the security confines of where we are now and not be taking periodic training, maybe 6 months or some periodic training to remind you, refresher courses as we call them, to remind you of some of the things your responsibilities as you do your job. So I think I'll give the police officers 6/10. They did a good job, but they goofed in certain areas where they were even instructing the guy to do the search himself while they watch because they didn't have gloves. And I was like, is he serious? He was like, oh, if you don't want us to search you without the gloves, then we'll watch for you to search yourself. Open the bag and search yourself, you know? And I think we need to do better. Ghana Police Service, we need to do better. But on the second note, the guy needs to be apprehended, if not arrested, because you see the level of arrogance. Yes, you are projecting your right, you're defending your right, but you don't have to provoke in the process of defending your right. And then after the whole incident, he did a second video, because they couldn't search him right there. So one of the police officers decided that they take him to the nearest police station to go do the search there. So which I thought it was a wise decision, because he said so they can get a supervision from, I believe, a higher rank police officer. And then secondly, probably they can get access to gloves and what have you to be able to conduct the search. But the guy after the incident did a second video. I think when he got home, and he was threatening the police officers. I mean, he was basically threatening the entire Ghana police force, talking about the fact that the next time an incident of that nature happens and he's strapped, he's going to shoot somebody. And I was like, are you kidding me?
That is pure stupidity.
You who is claiming that the police was doing something wrong, so you were standing for your right and force them to do the right thing, you turn around and be on the other side of the law. And the whole of the week I was looking out for a statement from the Ghana Police Service, which I couldn't find until this morning, when I realized that the police service had put up a statement looking for the guy, because he needs to be apprehended. And that level of disrespect for our public officers would have to stop. The fact that you're defending your right does not mean you should disrespect the public officers, because I would say that the public officers conducted themselves with some level of professionalism, except for the fact that at a certain point in time, they try to raise the issue, escalate the issue, and then it comes down, which again, I said they did well, but they need some retraining, refresher courses on de-escalation. And at a point, you see the exhibition of power. He was like, I'll search you, I'll search you, I'll search you, It's like you're trying to antagonize the situation, which I didn't think it was very professional when the guy was showing that level of power through his, I would say, a verbal demonstration of power, which I thought it was not necessary. But then I think the guy should be arrested. And some of these disregard and disrespect for the law needs to cease. There was a video I saw, and as I was digging further, I realized it was the king of Sunyani who made that statement, and I thought it was a very serious statement. That shouldn't come from a king. I believe there's a dispute. I don't have the full story, but this is what I'm thinking. There's a dispute in his town over a chieftain's dispute. So another faction also enthroned somebody else. So it looks as if there are two kings in Sunyani now. And the other king was warning the people and saying, if anybody dares misbehave, I'll cut his back and show it to him. And I was like, so if we have people in authority, people with power, making such public statements, yes, so somebody would also have the nerve and the impudence to pick up a phone and come sit on social media and threaten the police. Anyway, Prof, your take, and we'll bring this matter to a
Yeah.
close till next week.
What I would like to say is that threatening anybody is a criminal offense. It is not just threatening the police. If you threaten anybody with bodily harm, with death, with whatever, you should be apprehended, prosecuted, and probably jailed. So for all these people who think by the fact of maybe their political affiliations, their money, or their social status can go around and be threatening people, please take note. And I will put a lot of the blame on the police. They have to catch this guy and prosecute him and publicize it to make it known to people that you just can't go around threatening the police. They are officers of the peace. If they do something against you, which is illegal, you take them to court. That is the way it is supposed to be.
And you even have them on video. You were
exactly
filming the whole process.
Exactly. There is no need to go make another video showing your ego and your bravado and saying that you can do whatever. You are only one man. I don't know what his his status is that makes him think that he can threaten the whole Ghana Police Service. So this is on you, Ghana Police Service. You're gonna let it slack. It's on you. In my opinion, you have the green light to go find this guy and bring the full force of the law on him. Yes, you need to do that. He should face the brunt of the law of Ghana on his back. Let him become an advisor, going around telling people, hey, don't mess with the police. As for this one, I'm in total support of the police. Thank you.
Okay. As for this, we are in total support of the police. On this note, we would want to bring the curtains down on today's Analyze This. I'm not too sure if we're going to have Leadership Academy on Friday, because this week is another crazy week for me. But
it's been like that.
If we will, I will send out the flyers on Monday so we can have a continuation of the discussions we started this week. On that note, my name has always been Nana Osei Bonsu Jr. of AfriWeek International Organization and Serto Leadership International, and my co-hosts,
Kojo Frimpong of the same said organizations.
And
we are happy to. Go ahead.
On that note, we'll catch you on the flip side. Same time, same day, next week.
Bye-bye. All right. See you, Nana.
All righty. My love to the family.